Hi, welcome back to Joyful Homestead. If you're a homesteader or a backyard chicken enthusiast who wants to start your own flock of chickens, or maybe you just want to expand your flock, the first question you ask is, well, what breeds do I have? And what breeds can I get? And what breeds are there? Well, the answers to those questions really depend on what you're looking for. Are you looking for an abundance of eggs? Are you looking for chickens that are really, really pretty? Are you looking for chickens that are cuddly with your kids? The answers to those questions will help you decide what chickens to get. Now, I wish I'd had somebody talk to me about 7 years ago when I started to raise chickens so that I would know the answers to these questions and have these questions asked to me. So what we'd like to do today is talk a little bit about some of the breeds of chickens that we have had on the farm or have even now, and go through the pros and the cons and maybe help you decide what would be best for your flock. The golden comet is a prolific egg producer, and if your main goal is to have an abundance of eggs, she's your girl for that. Now, one thing about the golden comet is that it was originally bred to be a commercial bird, and it's made its way into some backyard coops, but because of that, it is a bird that wears out very quickly. They lay medium brown eggs, and they lay over 300 a year. And so they only live about 3 to 5 years at most. And that's an important thing to know about your flock. They do have some climate issues with colder weather. If your weather is in the far north getting below zero, you may have some problems with frostbite on their combs. They also don't have a lot of feathers and a lot of fluff, but if you're in the south, that's actually a good thing because they're really great birds in the summer because, again, they are high to the ground, they don't have a lot of extra fluff, and they ventilate very easily. And then the last thing about this bird that's great is that when they're young, when they're just chicks, they're easy to sex link, which means that you can tell the males and the females apart. And if you're not interested in having roosters, but you get some birds from the hatchery, these ones very seldom get mixed up. And so you won't have any accidental roosters in your flock. They are docile and gentle. They're okay assimilating with other birds of different breeds. And they're nice around your family, but you know, they're kind of plain birds. They're very practical birds. I like a lot of these in my flock. This chicken is called a black Australorp. It's a contraction for black Australian Orpington. So they were originally from Australia. A beautiful black bird. You can tell a little bit of the green iridescence that's in her feathers. When you see her in the sun, she'll kind of glow like one of those beetles, kind of a beetle iridescence. She glides around the coop. She glides around the free range just like some kind of duchess going to a tea party. She's very smooth, very docile, very gentle, kind of stately actually. One nice thing about the Orpington, the Australian Black Orpington, is that they are very good egg layers. This one here actually holds the Australian record for eggs in a year at over 360. Not this specific one, of course, but in the past they have had really record-breaking hens. And she's a plump chicken. She's a dual-purpose chicken. She's actually probably the plumpest chicken that I have. So if you were interested in meat chickens, she would do well for that in your backyard flock. She has a very docile personality, and she's really good in the winter. Very cold hardy, and good in small spaces. Really a good, well-rounded hen. You can meet the barred rock right here. She is my favorite bird of all of my flock. These are my favorite variety because they're so well-rounded. I don't really know if there's a negative in having a barred rock in a backyard flock. And the reason for that is because they're really good around your family. They lay a lot of eggs, over 250 a year, typically brown eggs, light brown eggs. Each chicken has a little bit of a different brown color, but they're sweet. Now this one is a little bit grumpy right now because I'm holding her, but they're very sweet. They're cold hardy. They do really well in assimilating into the flock. They tend to be in the middle of the hierarchy of the pecking order. They do really well with the other birds, and that's a great thing to have. Another thing about them is they are my best foragers. So if you have a flock that you like to free range, they will do wonders in digging up everything, the bugs and the weeds and all of that stuff. So give them a lot of space, they're fine. If you give them a small space, they're also fine. Really good, well-rounded birds. The barred rock. This is Goldie. She's my gold-laced Wyandotte, and she's a beautiful bird. If you're interested in chickens for the plumage and for the enjoyment of watching them, this is a good bird for you to have. All the Wyandotte chickens are named after an Indian tribe in North America, and they have different colorations. The gold-laced, there's a silver-laced Wyandotte, which is basically white with a black pencil pattern on it. It's beautiful, beautiful bird. But they don't lay eggs as much as, say, the golden comets or my barred rocks. About 200 a year, they're brown eggs. They're also a little bit of a loner. Their personalities aren't the cuddliest personalities or the gentlest. They tend to just hang out by themselves. If you do get Wyandottes, get them in multiples or in pairs so they can hang out together. That's an important thing. She's at the top of the pecking order. She doesn't take anything from any of the other birds, and she'll put them in their place for sure. They do like compact spaces, which is good for a backyard garden and a coop, but you may want to stay away from them as far as the egg production. Remember also that Wyandottes, sometimes in colder temperatures, they may have some problems below zero, and you'll have to make sure to keep them warm. Keep them dry as well, because their feathers tend to be lower to the ground, and you'll want to make sure that they don't get wet. This is the speckled Sussex. She's a beautiful bird. She's got the white and the black with the brown bars. This bird was a heritage bird that was first introduced in the 1800s in Sussex County, England. She lays brown eggs and about 200 or so a year. She's a really, really calm and gentle bird. She'd be a perfect hen for your backyard coop because she doesn't mind small spaces and chicken tunnels and coops, and she's really great with kids. She's very curious. She'll come right up to you and look you in the eye and try to figure you out. She's fantastic in colder weather. They're very cold hardy and not too bad in the heat as well. Another thing about this bird is she's really plump, and you can actually feel the plumpness of her. So if you were interested in both meat and egg birds, the dual purpose bird, then this might be a bird that you'd want to consider as well. One thing about the speckled Sussex that I want to bring up is that they tend to be frequently broody. Now, broodiness means that they like to sit on their nests, even if there aren't any eggs on it. And if you're interested in hatching chicks, that's a great thing to have in a hen. But if you're not interested in hatching chicks and you take the eggs off the nest, then you don't want a broody hen, because broody hens don't lay any more eggs while they're brooding. And so keep that in mind when you choose your chickens. And that's a tour of our backyard homestead flock. I hope you enjoyed seeing the different birds. You see that we like a variety of breeds in our flock, and you see they all have different traits and characteristics. What we'd like for you to think now about is, what are the answers to your questions? The questions like, how many eggs do I want? What color of eggs do I want? You can even get chickens, for example, with blue and green and pink eggs that I didn't even show you today. We don't have any of those in our flock because it isn't as important to us, but maybe that would be fun for your kids. Think about chickens maybe that have beautiful plumage, chickens that are better in winter weather, chickens that like confined spaces, or chickens that are better in big wide open spaces. It's really customized to what is your situation. And maybe these flocks would work for you, but maybe you need to do more research and figure out the types of breeds that you need to look into. It's an enjoyable process. Good luck with it.